Hello everyone, this is Shawna with DisruptApps LLC, and this is the first video of a PSA, Public Service Announcement, and End User Education series that I'd like to bring forth as part of my company and my vision that I have and I want to do. And in this video I'm going to basically show you one of the ways that companies, big tech, and anyone who has a website or web application can keylog, can basically spy on what you're typing. And you may have heard of keyloggers, and I want to show what they are and how they work a little bit under the hood. You know, I'm not going to go into great coding detail, but I'll give you an example of how easy it is to do. So basically, I built out a mock website, and it has just some gibberish here, you know, lorem ipsum dolor, and then I have a cheesy little keylogger picture I made, you know, keys, logger, keys, ha ha ha. And then I have a basic, you know, typical form or contact that you might see on the internet. And then, ooh, what's a sensitive number sequence? Well, you can use your imagination what that would be for. So basically, we have this dummy website, and then I already have this keylogger application that I built, and I did it from scratch. And really quickly, I'll go over the domain here, and I'm using PHP in this case, PHP and JavaScript and HTML. But you have your assets folder, and this is where the images for the website are. Like here's your thing for the, where is it here? The keylogger. So this is just the image folder where I put all the images. Here's where the JavaScript file is, pretty basic. MVC, model view controller, is the way I do things. And then in here we have a keylog.txt. And let me pull that up and bring it here. And right now, the keylog.txt is basically a text file where everything you type is going to be dumped into this text file. Now this text file will be on the owner's server. Whoever is serving up the website will have this text file. And this, I'll show you how it works, but whatever you type will be dumped into this file. And so let me back out of here. Keylogger supports just where I put my files, and then index.php is the basic HTML code, which I'll show you later. But let me give you a quick demonstration of what's going to happen. So let's say you navigate to your favorite website, you come here, and then check this out. I'm not going to type in any of the input boxes, right? I'm just going to click on the white space. And I'm just going to type some message on my keyboard here. And the way I have it coded is every time I hit a key, you see that red type, that red flashing. That means you are being keylogged. Red letters. This is all being done in real time. And just for the demo purposes, I have it to where I'll show you what has been keylogged. So I'm going to click on my show logged keystrokes, and boom, hello world, red letters. So let's go back into what would be on the server, right? So we'll come here into the MVC and the keylogged text right here, right? Well, so what you typed as a client, as an end user out on the internet, is now on this text file. And if you remember, I didn't click in these boxes, right? So, well, that's a real simple overview of how they can type. You know, they can see what you're typing without even typing in a text box. But now let's say I actually do use the text box, right? So I'm going to go Jane Doe, phone number. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1. I hope no one's phone number is that. Test.com. Ooh, a sensitive number sequence. Well, what if you do 1, 1, 1, 1, 222233334444. So you know, if you've done anything on the internet buying stuff, you know what that pattern is, right? In the comment, your comment here. As you can see, it was all flashing. So let me go ahead and click Show Logged Keystrokes. So now you have all this stuff here. Everything that we typed out, I typed out in those boxes is here. Now, you're going to see this asterisk special X shift. This is something I programmed in for a algorithm that somebody could use something similar to denote when you use a shift key, because the way JavaScript works, it takes a key, it takes your key and it'll take your letters, but if you hit like a special character like caps lock, shift, control, or any of the function keys, or alt, or things like that, it's going to do a special character, it'll spit out shift. And I'll show that here in a second, but just know for now that this is a prefix and a postfix or a suffix appending for a sorting and search algorithm. So just know right now, look, you have Jane, and then no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9 tests, and you have your email, and then you have your sensitive numbers here. So now, and you know, we haven't said anything over the wire. We haven't submitted a form or anything, but this is just for demonstration purposes. So let me go back here. Let me close up my keylogger, and then let me open the keylog text file again. Boom. So we have hello world, red letters, which we typed. And then now what was written to this keylog text file was my prefix and postfix algorithm sort denotations. Shift, you know, you hit to capitalize a letter, you need to hit the shift. So that's why you have that shift there. Jane, Doe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then you have your test, and then you have your sensitive number here. And this is basically, you know, a way to, basically a really simple way for anyone who has a website or web application, like I said before, who owns the server or serving the files, can take your data with or without you putting it into an input box. Now, instead of putting it into just some basic, dumping it to some text file, they could very much put it into, basically they could run the same thing and run it into a database. And here's an example of a database here, and for security purposes, I'm going to obfuscate some of the columns for the table, the attributes and stuff, but it's really simple to do a keylogger. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of code to do it, and this can be done pretty much, you know, with any technology. You know, any junior developer can do this kind of stuff. And you know, now with AI and everyone using that ChatGPT crap, they can probably, I've never used ChatGPT, but they could probably say, ChatGPT, make me a they could probably prompt it and make one for you, but that's a whole other video. But really briefly, I want to go over, well, so I didn't mean to do that, I might cut that out, but going back here, I'll do a really quick code overview, and I've got, you know, my, I wrote this from scratch. I write all of my programs and websites, web applications from scratch. So it's really a very simple program. You know, if you do programming, you'll appreciate the simplicity of it. And if you're interested in code, this will give you an idea of how everything comes together. Now, I do not advocate you to copy this code and go put it out in the wild, because I'm not here to promote keylogging. I'm doing this to promote end user awareness, but I'm digressing a little bit. But basically, the index PHP is similar to it uses HTML to generate all of the front end or the UI. And basically here's the UI, and then just for sake of this project I did styles in the body. Normally I have a separate style sheet, but just for the sake of this, and typical body styling. I have a menu wrapper, menu items, basic cover to make them highlighted, just some basic styling. And then the keyframes I did to make the make it every time you type something it makes the red. That's why I did that. That's part of that right there. I'm gonna scroll down here, and then basically your divs, this image here, banner is a class I made, and you put your black eye, which is this evil imposing eye that I found off the internet that I like, and then you've got your H1s in your paragraphs that, your lorem ipsum and your title, which corresponds to all this. This is, a real quick overview of the code. I come down here, and then you have your form information, and then you have your input boxes right here, which that corresponds to all that. And then your root wrapper, which the root is where I dynamically put the data and display the stuff that I get, the keystrokes that I get from the user is dynamically put into this this element here, down here, this keylogged. Now, this is basically the front end part. Really simple, nothing too difficult for a junior developer. So now here with the keylogger, this is actually what makes the magic happen, so to speak, and the keylogger JavaScript. And as I mentioned before, if you hit the special keys, tab, caps lock, shift, control, I'll go ahead and demonstrate that real quick. Let me go ahead and clear out this so we can have a clear view. I'll save that. I'll come back here, I'll refresh the page, clear everything out, and I'm going to hit shift, caps lock, tab, caps lock again, control, F1, F2, F3. I'll go ahead and close that out. So you can see hit shift, caps lock, tab, caps lock, control, F1, F2, F3, and so forth. And again, I just did that, to show that to do a sorting algorithm, you want to denote these type of these special keys. And on my laptop, I have an audio volume down and audio volume up that will be detected as well as with the arrow keys. So basically, if you do JavaScript, this is pretty simple, basic JavaScript. I'm adding an event listener for key down on the entire document, an easy event. And basically, I commented out what's going to happen here. So basically, what this is doing is every time that you hit a key, it's going to detect it, and it's going to put that into the keylogger.js, and it'll spit it out onto the screen as well as send it to the keystroke handler PHP script. But with each keystroke, I need to check and see if it's one of these special keys. So I just basically run a really simple loop each time it's key pressed to check and see if it's one of those keys. And if it's a special key, then I do a prefix and postfix. Not postfix, prepend and postpen, or append, whatever you want to call it. And then there's some special cases with the functions that you have to do. I don't want to go into too much of a detail, but there's some things that'll close your window or navigate away, and I want to prevent that, so you have to do a prevent default, so you don't close the window or navigate away or cause something you don't want to happen. Now down here in this code, if the event E a repeat, that means if you're holding down the shift key. And that's why I'll go ahead and show you real quick. Close that out. I'll come back here, refresh it, and I'm just going to come down here. I'm going to hold down the shift key, and you can see it's flashing a lot. So I'll let off the key, and I'll come back to my here. I'll come to Keylogger, and then you see the -R here. That's denoting that the key was held, and you can also use that as part of the algorithm. And another reason why I use these special characters is because it can help the way that they can track and trace people, and they look at your typing behavior, and they can see. You can get really sophisticated with this, and you can sit there and you could do timings of like how long it takes people to type stuff out. You could really like geek it out and do timing patterns of people and see how often they shift and things like that. But that's a little bit beyond the scope. But I just wanted to show you the reason why I use that R for repeat in the code. So I'm gonna get back to the code here. You know, detect keystrokes is basically was an empty variable. That's where I dump all the keystrokes, and it just basically gets concatenated or added to what you typed. And then, you know, you just this is vanilla JavaScript that you're basically running it to. And then I'm going to skip this Ajax. I use Ajax, old school Ajax, and for the PHP handling. But basically, I just have an event listener, so I can't speak, and do a click. This event listener is for this button right here. Instead of putting the like on click into the HTML, I tend to use event listeners. And here's the function, and then here's my dynamically rendered menu. So I prefer to dynamically render my navigation items. Now here is where, if you work with Ajax, you've worked with this before, it's a legacy technology. And basically, I don't want to go too deep into this code, but every time you hit this, what it's going to do is it's going to take whatever key that was typed, that JavaScript found, and it's going to pass it in to a post, and it's going to send whatever key that you type in to this keystroke handler that I wrote and for PHP. And so it's really simple. You know, now don't go putting this into the wild. If you go out and copy this, I'm not responsible what you do with this code. I'm just giving you the walkthrough and the knowledge of how it works under the hood. So basically, you're just passing through an Ajax. You're passing the key here. I'm stripping out the tags. I know it's just on my machine, but I always keep good practices for doing, you know, sanitation. And this is really simple sanitation. So, and I'm just basically doing PHP, you know, getting the keylogged text here, and that corresponds to the keylog text file here that we've been looking at, you know, where we've been dumping the code. So basically, get what's taken, you know, open the file, and basically this is concatenating whatever you have from the JavaScript that you get from the client, and you're just putting it into the file. And this is just a real simple check to make sure that it worked. And then that's it. And I mean, that's basically a quick and dirty. I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot of code, a whole lot of, you know, complex coding to make this happen. So, you know, I'm very passionate about, you know, end user education, privacy, end user privacy, and I'm very passionate about technology, from coding to hardware to, you know, encryption. I do encryption. I love encryption, and so that's, you know, my first. This is my first PSA and end user education video that I want to have as part of my DisruptApps LLC and the project that I have in mind. And you know, I may do a full code review and go line by line in another video, but I'm already at 20 minutes, and you know, that's good. That's a good start. So I hope you learned something from it, and I hope you are now a more empowered end user. Thank you for your time.